All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball. The 10 days of NFL preview is finally here. Now, obviously, 10 days away from the regular season. The countdown to kickoff starts now. We just wrapped up our fantasy football draft. I mean, I'm not to toot my own horn, but I mean, y'all let me win the fantasy draft at the 14th pick out of 14. So, we'll probably get into that a little later. But we're going to start this off with the AFC East. Got obviously a pretty tough division to get into here. So, Christian, let's start off with last year's winner in the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, so when we're looking at this season for the Bills, specifically the offseason, it was kind of mostly up and down for this Bills team. Obviously, once again, with those playoff chances for the Bills, ended up, another crucial heartbreak to the Kansas City Chiefs. And coming to the offseason, they're pretty much doing a clean house, specifically on that defense, releasing a lot of key players. But luckily in the draft, they did replace those holes, and that's a free agent sign they did there. And with the departure of Stephon Diggs, who I think is probably the best for that team this upcoming season, getting rid of Enigma in that locker room, that was kind of, I guess you could say Stephon Diggs was kind of one of the main reasons why, the Bills were really,
At least
up
through
to the
that
day with
second half of the season, we
Yeah,
could really see he was causing a lot of turmoil. I mean, what you saw, he was a big reason why they didn't pull that game off against the Chiefs.
yeah. And, like I'm saying, Stephon Diggs, he was the big reason. Josh Allen, that was his main guy, right? But if you're beefing with your quarterback and he's your number one guy, not really a big, thing that you really look into. And obviously him releasing them, picking up Keon Coleman in the second round, which I think it's a perfect fit for Josh Allen. That connection to Coleman, I'm high on Coleman, the dude from FSU. I've been watching. I really love Coleman and his game here. So that connection with Josh Allen picked done early. Yep, you did there. And I picked up in one of my teams for fantasy team as well, but we'll let that slide for another video. But his connection with Coleman, I feel is gonna be another big one. And then that running game with James Cook, who's going to be a really big asset to that. And the defense, new additions they did add. So I'm really expecting a lot for this Bills team this upcoming season, especially, it's another degree for Josh Allen. It's another make or break for him.
Yeah, you talk about how much we love that move for Keon Coleman. I mean, just what you said, we see, the cancer that Stephon was starting to look like. And we see like the complete opposite. I mean, sure, right now, it's all the honeymoon phase that he just got drafted and everything, but Keon Coleman just looks like a phenomenal fit for Buffalo. I mean, we see, I mean, it's just random clips, it's just stuff like that, but I mean, he seems like he's really meshing well into that culture. So I'm really excited to see how he does. And I think, the key thing, I mean, I don't really know what additions they really did make on defense. I think I'm just remembering the guys they lost, guys like Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, who went to a division rival that we'll get into in just a bit. And, Trey White, someone that, came to my Rams. We'll get into that a little later too. But I think that secondary is really going to take a hit. I believe it's Matt Milano, who that's just on the front seven. He's going to be out indefinitely, looking to get a return in maybe December. So that defense is going to be put to the task. I'm really interested in seeing what they can do going into, see if they can bring back that second half surge that they had last season. But I think one last key loss that we're really going to look into is Mitch Morse. He went to Jacksonville, Josh Allen's center, I believe, his whole career. So, someone new up front. I think that's going to be something that really changed the continuity with this team. But obviously, we'll move it into last year's second place team and the Miami Dolphins. Something that I guess we've been, here and there. I mean, I've been pretty critical of them here and there, but also, I'm high on what they're doing. And I mean, we see, they picked up some, I guess, washed up guys like Jonnu Smith, OBJ, Jordan Poyer, still to be determined, someone like we just mentioned in the last piece. But big addition to replace, obviously, a huge loss in Christian Wilkins, Chop Robinson, someone that I would not have minded if the Rams would have picked up themselves. But I'm really interested. A great piece for that linebacking core for Miami, and I'm really excited. They picked up Vic Fangio, the new defensive coordinator. So really interested in seeing how they retool that defense.
Yeah, so obviously these Miami Dolphins, once again, they've been boosting up this whole season, keeping their main guys, signed Tarek to the big extension, Tua to that big extension, and obviously that running back room of the Dolphins is looking really good with A-Chain and Raheem Mostert in the backfield, helping Tua side there. And same thing, you mentioned Chop Robinson, who's going to be the Wilkins replacement there. You were high on him. I've been looking more into it. It's going to be a really big addition to that front seven. Looking at the secondary, with Ramsey, that's probably going to be the main focal point between them. I know they lost Xavier Howard. It was a big loss, knowing Xavier was kind of on a steep decline for the most part of his career with the Dolphins. But without a doubt, Ramsey, he's going to have to be the anchor of that secondary position. But I still don't have a lot of negative downsides to this Dolphins team, I still think Tua's still going to get the job done. Hopefully, as of right now, in the regular
Especially
season.
if you think about they retool that offensive line. I think a big thing to look at is, the big contracts and all that. It's make or break for Tua. I know we kind of had some guys that we talked about. I don't think we threw him in there in that video that, Tua and maybe even Mike McDaniel, that, a guy who's really hyped up. Yeah, I think this year, if they're unable to win the division, a lot of questions. I mean, Tua won't be gone, obviously, but there's going to be a lot of questions for him. Mike McDaniel could be someone. I mean, we didn't mention him in the hot seat, but he very much could be. Yeah,
and then back to Tua here. The main story between him and the Dolphins really couldn't get it done against teams against 500. They got the one win against the Dallas Cowboys, and that's it. Looking at this season, when we're coming towards mid-season, looking at this Dolphins team, especially with how really hardened this AFC conference is. Coming to mid-season, looking at these teams are going to be above 500. The teams that are on their schedule that are against 500, that's going to really be a big shot for Tua, and see what's really going to happen towards the end towards the following into the season. See if it's going to be the exact same story as of last season. And now moving on with the New York Jets, finished the season 7-10. Obviously, there are a lot of questions, specifically looking at the offensive position, the quarterback situation. Quarterback with the Jets, it's been a rough patch since Rodgers went down, and I believe it was the second play last season against the Bills in the opening game of the season, and that was a really big loss. Obviously they got that win against the Bills with Zach Wilson coming in, but after that, Zach Wilson, honestly, say what you want how he is, but sure, you could say he was put in a bad spot at that point at the quarterback spot with the Jets. We have mentioned it a couple of times in some of our past videos there, but it was kind of, expected for Zach Wilson not to do as good there.
I wouldn't put much of that on him. Honestly, like what we said in that last video, I think a lot of that does end up going on Robert Saleh and how his coaching has, honestly, he hasn't lived up to, the big billing that once he came out of the 49ers. And I mean, that's something, I know we talked about it before, but, it's going to be a lot of make or break for him. And I don't want to say it's legacy watch, but, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's obviously, being, what is he going to be, 39, 40 going into this season. I mean, firstly, we're going to see, 20th, we're going to see, if he's, if he's still got his juice, if he's still, good, if A-Rod's still going to be A-Rod, that's the big thing. And I mean, honestly, I think whether A-Rod is A-Rod or not, that's going to be the big, a big factor in if Robert Saleh ends up keeping his job.
It is, because the defense, I'm not worried about that defense at all. I still think the Jets, they're going to have an arguably...
Well, that's if Sauce Gardner actually comes in and actually elevates his game, because he's been a top corner, sure, but I feel like there's still room to grow for him.
Without Sauce, yes, it is, but I still think that defense is still going to be a solidified, I want to say top 12 defense this season. Look, last year, they were the exact reason why they were still in close games. You're having Aaron Rodgers back. Garrett Wilson is finally going to have his main quarterback. I feel with Garrett Wilson and that offense start to click. You picked up 2 running backs in the draft, Braylon Adams in the 4th round, who I was really high on, and then Isaiah Davis from South Dakota State in the 5th too. So those are really 2 really good, great young running backs to really help bolster up that offense behind Breece Hall, helping left leverage off Aaron Rodgers. But once again, how we talked about in the past video, this is make or break for this Jets team, specifically for Aaron Rodgers and the stake for the reputation of Saleh's career as well.
Yeah, and I'll just take it right back to the defense before we move on. You say, obviously, they do have that strong defense. Obviously, like the last team in this division, the defense was kind of the saving grace last season. But let's also remember, they lost Bryce Huff. That was, probably one of their big anchors on the front seven. They got their Bryce Huff replacement in pretty much a de facto trade with the Eagles for Hassan Reddick. But what's the situation with Hassan Reddick right now? He hasn't shown up. He already requested a trade before he even went there. They're not going to give him a trade, but I mean, if he doesn't want to be there, I mean, he's going to keep holding out. That's the one worry for me. Like you said, I'm not too worried about that secondary, but the front seven this could be a team that ends up getting run on a lot, and they got the 49ers week 1, which is obviously a very strong running team, so that's a big piece of the puzzle to look out for. And at the bottom of the barrel from this division last season with the Patriots, they went, I believe, 4-13. I mean, obviously a lot of issues. Bill Belichick's gone. That's obviously the big thing. And the Mac Jones era is officially over. Moving it along to another white guy wearing number 10 in Drake May. And I'm really excited for him. I mean, obviously they also picked up Jacoby Brissett, but in this preseason game that just, I mean, he's gonna be done. So it looks like it's Drake May season moving forward. And I mean, let's remember, you know, I would watch film on him, and you know, through the draft process, I was very high on him. I'm not sure year one how good he can do because of the team around him, specifically his weapons. But I mean, I have high hopes, and I think he's going to show a lot of flashes, but I think it's just not really going to be enough. And, you know, on the defensive side of the ball, you know, we talked about a lot about Christian Gonzalez, who I think he's going to have a breakout year. I think he's going to pick up right where he left off last year. But on the front seven end, Matthew Judon, the loss of him, I think that's gonna be a key thing that, honestly, very similarly to what I just said about the Jets, you know, the secondary is gonna look pretty good, but that front seven might struggle a bit. And I think one key storyline to look at them, and how is re-signing all these guys from last season gonna pan out for them. I mean, sure, you know, they're guys that they like, sure, but I mean, it was a 4-13 team, so maybe it would have been smart to let some of those guys walk and start fresh, but we will wait and see.
Yeah, so yeah, like you said, without a doubt, it's imminent. Drake May's going to get the start after Jacoby Brissett's injury earlier today with the shoulder. And, you know, with the weapons around him, look, they got Jalen Polk in the second round, and they ended up getting another underrated guy, Javon Baker, to help boost up that receiving core. But, you know, again, especially that O-line and how his weapons coming in the first year, it's still a lot of debate whether or not Drake May is going to get the job done this season. Same with the Jets team. I have some concerns for the defense, but I still think the Patriots defense, it's not going to be obviously a top 10, but I still think it's going to be in the position where it's going to keep them close into a game to kind of give the offense more breathing room there. But like I said, with the quarterback, with Drake May, and still with the weapons around him, how you mentioned, it's still a lot of questionable things for them, specifically for that offense. But with Jared Mayo at the head coach, I'm really hoping he actually, you know, kind of gets the guys a little dialed down, unlike Bill Belichick. Kind of, you know, we already saw his coaching with Bill Belichick after Brady.
Yeah, and
so I'm really hoping.
Yeah, sorry, but that is something that I also did mention too. And obviously, that's probably one of the biggest pieces. Gerard Mayo coming in as a head coach, which obviously he knows the system, he knows, you know, this in and out. And I don't think we're gonna lose too much of that Bill Belichick system, which obviously, you know, he comes from a Belichick tree. So, but I think he breathes a lot of new life, and I think, you know, seeing that this was such a top defense, he's gonna help strengthen them even more. And I mean, I do like the hire. It was a little more under the radar than a lot of people really expected. I think a lot of people really wanted Mike Vrabel to get this job, but I am excited for Mayo. Probably not too much, like I said about Drake May, not too much coming into this year, but, you know, to build around for the future, I am a big believer in Gerard Mayo.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you pretty much wrapped up what I was going to say about Gerard Mayo, but yeah, like you said, he does bring a lot of breathing room to this field team, start off fresh. Hopefully in a couple, maybe this season it's not going to pan out. Obviously, for a really quick Drake May resurgence for this whole team for new life. But without a doubt, sooner down the road, Drake May, the way I'm hoping his best that he develops with that Patriots offense, to see what Gerard Mayo has in store here, is obviously just going to take some Specifically, it's going to take some time for Drake May to finally build the confidence to kind of lead this whole team in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people look at this division as a 3-horse race, but I think it's kind of clear that for us, it's pretty much a 2-horse race. So I think I'll let you kick this off first. Why don't you give us your AFC East predictions for 2024?
Yeah, so like you said, the two-horse race between the Bills and the Dolphins. I was really debating this. It took me all week and kind of debating, see the rosters, their additions, quarterbacks, and everything like that. But I'm having a lot of hope for Josh Allen this season. I'm having the Bills, you know, win this division back to back at 12-5. I have a one win more from last season here. I feel this is gonna be Josh Allen's season to finally prove to everyone that, you know, he is the quarterback to lead the Buffalo Bills team. But the interceptions and the turnovers is what he's gonna dial down. He's been having those issues since he came into the league, especially last season. And then moving on with the Dolphins, I have them going at 11-6 again, so there's still another playoff team for me again there. I feel once again Tua's going to have the issues again with the teams above 500. That's why I have him being second in the division on this one. Still have a lot of hope for that Dolphins team as well. And I'm gonna have the Jets again, but I'm gonna have the Jets be going 9-8 under Aaron Rodgers. I still don't think the Jets are probably gonna make it away to this division. As soon as for Rodgers with his reputation, I still think he's going to have a good season, but 9-8 is what I probably think is going to solidify the Jets there. And then the Patriots, the poor Patriots, once again, I'm going to have them have a little boost with Drake May. I'm gonna have him go 6-12. That could be a little.
What do you mean 6-11?
Oh, I'm sorry, 6-11. Excuse
Yeah.
me, got the math a little wrong there. I'm having to go 6-11. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of strings attached with this Patriots team that still need to fill in the gap with there. I feel Mayo's debut at coach still gonna have a little flaws there, but like I mentioned, a couple years into the future, and this Patriots team's gonna have something with Drake.
I mean, ours are pretty similar. I mean, I'm gonna tell you. I mean, we got the Dolphins at the same record, but I got them winning the division at 11-6. I think, still to be seen for the playoffs. That we'll get into that in a little later. But I think regular season wise, it's gonna be another good year. I think Tua doesn't have that second half drop off, and I think McDaniels, helps him go through the season. He won't be like Brian Flores, calling him a bum week in, week out. I'm gonna have the Bills 9-8. I mean, it might be a little low to some. I believe they're gonna struggle out the gate with that new receiving core, but I mean, just like last season, they'll pick it right back up and they'll get just enough. I do believe they're a playoff team, and obviously I'll get into that once we get later. And this is kind of the biggest disparity for us. I got the Jets going 7-10, better than no. That's exactly like
the
last
same
year.
record again. Exactly. I think this will be three in a row. No, 7-10, or did they go 6?
Don't remember their 22 record, but yeah, last year they did also go 7-10.
Oh yeah, it would be. So yeah, you're calling it 3 in a row.
I'm not too high on them. I mean, look, I think like what I said about that front seven, I think it's going to be a little a bit of an issue, and I mean, sure, that secondary it's going to be their saving grace, but Aaron Rodgers is going to be kind of decent, but I do see some struggles. I'm not expecting Mike Williams to be that much of a factor as much as a lot of people think. And down in the dumps once again, like I said, I'm very high on Drake May, but I just don't think this is his year. Just like you, I'm going to have him at 6-11. I think this is going to be, just a bridge year. I mean, it would have been nice
6-12. 6-12.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it would have been nice for Drake to have the opportunity to learn a little more under Brissett, but unfortunately, as it seems, I mean, nothing official is up, but it does look like Drake May will lead in with the starting job. But that is going to do it. That's 1 out of 8 divisions done. This will be out obviously Monday morning. Hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you like and subscribe, and hope to see you back soon. Right back tomorrow for the AFC North, and hope to see you guys back for all 10 of these.